everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book Goodies, the Author and Author Services podcast. My name is Deborah Carney. I'm your host, and with me today I am joined by Steff, all the way from New Zealand. Hi, Steff. How are you?
Hi, Debbie. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, I know you're an author and you provide services for authors, so we can start out a little bit about your books and then we'll go from there.
Excellent. Okay. Well, my name's Steff. I'm a writer, a blogger, and an illustrator, and I live in New Zealand. I've written 5 self-published ebooks, which have all done reasonably well, just selling them through my websites. I'm the author of The Gothic Wedding Planner, which is a wedding guide for alternative brides and grooms. I'm also the author of The Grim and Epic Guide to Blogging, which is a how-to guide for people who want to increase business exposure on their blogs and just create blogs that are really awesome.
Okay.
So, as well as working on those books, I also work mainly with small sort of creative businesses. So mainly authors, artists, sort of jewelry designers. Those kind of single person, really creative businesses, and they make wonderful products, but quite often they don't know how to sort of convey in marketing terms what they do and why it's amazing and why people should buy it or read it or look at it, put it on their wall. So I help them with their websites, I help them with their mailing lists, I help them with press releases, book blurbs. I've even done a bit of ghostwriting for books and other authors. So those are the kind of services that I can offer. All right.
And you're totally right. Creative people, even writers, are very creative. But then when it comes to the marketing stuff, they're like, no, I just want to work on the next project. I don't know what that marketing thing means. I'm supposed to just be able to put it up on Amazon or put it up on my website, and people are just going to come and buy it. So
exactly. And it's unfortunate that it's just, if only it were that easy.
I know. It was that easy in 1996.
but it's a brand new age now, and it's really important for authors to really get out there with their books, and you can make a really good name for yourself if you're willing to put in the hard yards in terms of marketing your book. But I know for a lot of people it's like pulling teeth. It's horrible.
Now, do you give your potential clients, do you give them like a questionnaire where they have to fill out certain things so that you know how to go about promoting them or how much marketing they can do themselves?
I do for some clients. It really depends on what the project is and what they want. Quite often people come to me and they've got everything sussed, but they don't know how to do one thing, like they don't know how to write a press release. Mm-hmm. So just take a look at a few of the other things that they've written for themselves, and then I can create a press release from that. And that's quite a simple assignment. But then there are the clients who they've written the book and they don't know how to do anything else.
Right.
And they want to do the website, the mailing list, press releases, the cover copy. They want me to do everything. Mm-hmm. And in those cases, we do a lot of initial work with a questionnaire and going back and forth on different ideas and sort of scope, and talking a lot about the target audience. And they tell me a lot, and I give them some ideas, and then we kind of figure out sort of the scope of the project from there.
Okay. Now, when you build a website for an author, for those writers that are out there listening that may not know, what types of elements are important on an author website that would differentiate them from, let's say, a website selling widgets?
Well, I think often authors don't understand exactly who their target audience is for their book. Like, they really like their book.
Right.
So, they're kind of like, well, my target audience is obviously people like me.
Right.
Which is kind of true, except sometimes you get a little bit confused. I see a lot of authors who write really amazing blogs, which are dedicated to other writers, because they're, they love writing and they love their book, so they kind of assume that everyone else who loves their book also wants to know about writing, which is not often actually the case. And so I think one of the biggest things that's important when designing and creating the copy for an author's website, one of the most important things is to figure out the target audience and create a website that really, really, really appeals to them. And then after that, it's there's kind of the basic functions of a website. There's your about page, your list of previous books, your blog, which I think is so important these days, and a mailing list. And all those things have just got to really appeal to that reader who you want to grab.
And I think the About Us page for authors can be a lot more entertaining, or for artists can be a lot more entertaining than for, someone running an e-store that, has to maintain a certain professional appearance.
Exactly. They can be a lot of fun. Mine are quite crazy, a little bit kooky. I've done some for authors before where they want them all in rhymes, or they want a limerick at the top, or something really silly that really kind of makes the readers go, oh, that's a person who's really fun. I think I'll read their book because I bet it's really fun too.
Well, and too many people treat the About Us page like, okay, their book is exciting and it's quirky and it's all awesome, and then their About Us page is, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I write books.
Exactly.
And instead, it should be something, like you said, that reflects their personality and makes people want to say, yeah, I want to read that book because this person is an awesome writer because they wrote this awesome biography on their About Us page. And, of course, a blog is very important because the RSS feed can be fed into, many other places, including social media. And do you have like a social media plan that you have for authors as well?
I do a little bit with social media, but I try and it's not my strong point, so I try and stick to what I know, which is blogging. That's the one I know really well.
Okay.
And mailing lists, because I find in terms of marketing, they're probably by far and away the best sort of lead generator.
Right.
As opposed to social media, which I think is great for building a community, but can often be a little bit, you can often kind of miss the mark in terms of sort of sales, and sort of direct kind of sales for your book. But I think a lot of authors kind of, with the About Me page, it's actually the second page, more often than not, it's the second page that people click on when they click on your website.
Yep.
And so it has to function as kind of another sales page. It's not about you, it's actually about your reader.
Yep, it's about why your reader should care about you.
Exactly.
So, now back to social media. I was going to say something and I forgot. Never mind. So when so now we've got, of course your front page has to be very engaging. Your About Us page is very important. And, the blog. So when you have people blog, do you have places where you can have their RSS feeds feed into, or are you just more having them use it as a way to get readers to know more about them and their story?
That's mainly how I use it. I try to encourage people to create a blog that's kind of more about. It focuses a lot on the world that they've created with their book and kind of expanding that world into the real world. So, for example, I did some work recently with a historical a fiction author, and she was a romance writer, and she worked in the Victorian era. And so I said, well, why don't you, with your blog, why don't you write more articles that are kind of focused on, the interesting historical facts about the Victorian era that you picked up, and unique stories about characters that real life characters that you found in real life romances. And she also she kind of took those ideas and a couple of initial articles I wrote for her to kind of show her what I meant. And she's kind of taken those ideas and really ran with it. And she's got, reviews of books and, Victorian authors, and also other romance writers who write in the same era. And she's done some really fantastic things by interviewing her characters and also interviewing fictionalized interviews of, old Victorian sort of famous people and famous fictional characters. It's a really fun blog. And ever since she started doing that, as opposed to just blogging about her cat and, her latest book coming out, the traffic to her site has just exploded because people have said, well, it's really interesting. And so they've told their friends and they've told their friends, and now she's doing really, really well.
And now she's building a platform, which
exactly.
is what every author needs, whether they know it or not. And even though I'm involved in internet marketing, when someone said I needed a platform for my books, I thought they were growing 3 heads. And I'm like, what? I don't need a platform. And then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I need a platform. And your platform can be, a WordPress site, a site built on WordPress. It can be an HTML-based website. It can be anything that's a website that you own. And one of the things I like that you said about social media is people can sometimes miss the mark there, and they make their Facebook page be their platform. And that terrifies me, because what if Facebook changes the way they do things, and they have actually, where
yes.
now they limit the number of fans that get to see what you post to your page. So
exactly.
You may have 1,200 people that you're following, but only 40 people get to see your post. So,
and that's a real worry, and that's why I think it's so important it's important to use social media. But it's important to understand that you don't actually have control over it.
Yep.
And so you need to have your base, your platform on the site that you control.
Now you talk about that one of your strong points is building the email list. How do you go about doing that? Do you have like a base of email lists that you can email yourself to have them come over and join the new author, or do you start from scratch and just put up a service for them to sign up for and just push out the site to get the signups?
No, I start from scratch because every author is different, mm-hmm. and I do truly believe that people will have they've got to want to sign up because of that specific author, and,
mm-hmm.
and every lead every email address that's a good email address is worth much more than having, if you've got 10 people who are really excited about your work, that's much more important than 200 people that a marketer has pulled off another list somewhere.
Right.
So I think that's really important. So I start from scratch unless they've already got an email list, which a lot of people do these days, but they're just not using it to their best ability. So I work with them to come up with a plan of how they might use it. Some people's books do really well if they've got a kind of newsletter, which might come out monthly and has some really good informational articles in it, and maybe some links to different things around the web, or a fun little quiz to do or something like that. Mm-hmm. That works really well for some people. Some people work better with a kind of like a more chatty kind of thing.
Okay.
And some people will work well if they just work doing a really, really good, really genuine, really honest kind of, here's what I'm doing now. If you're interested in this book, here's a great chance to buy it on Amazon for half price, or I'm over on this blog talking about my cats. You maybe want to go over and have a look. And, sometimes you can do that and it can be spammy.
Yeah.
If you learn how to do it well with, honesty and integrity, then it can be extremely effective.
Yeah, I mean, building your list, there's nothing more powerful than building your list, because then you know that people are interested in what you have to say. And, like you said, if you use your newsletter properly and you're not always selling and you're not always off topic, if you are giving them relevant information that they are looking for as part of your book or your book series, then they will be the ones who will be your cheerleaders when you send out your next release, and they will be like, oh, I got to buy the book, and then they'll tell their friends, oh, look, she bought it, so-and-so wrote another book, and it's really great, you guys have got to read it. And
exactly. And an email is so easy to forward, forward on to your friends. If you get something and you think it's really awesome, you can forward it around to 10 or 20 people, and then all of a sudden the author might have 10 or 20 new fans. Yep, very cool.
All right, so now you touched on ghostwriting a little bit. How I'm always fascinated by that. Do you do it for a particular genre, or for memoir, or for just in general?
I tend to do ghostwriting for non-fiction, and it tends to be for shorter things, sort of shorter informational ebooks, maybe 30 or 50 pages, maybe sometimes even a little bit less. And they tend to be, sometimes they're for authors who want a book out there in that kind of style, but they don't have the time or the inclination or the understanding to write it themselves.
Right.
Sometimes, but more often than not, they're for businesses who want, or individuals like life coaches or people like that who want maybe an information product to give out for free on their email list so that people will join up, or to put on Amazon so that they can sort of add, published author to their bio. So, and sometimes they're just for, so I did one recently about kit set homes, so building homes and kit sets for a company who just wanted to create an informational booklet. So they could hand it out to potential customers so that they could read all about the process in depth and feel like the company had really made this big effort to help them understand the process. So, and that's been really successful. So, yeah, that's the kind of thing I do.
That's really cool, because that's the type of thing that it actually goes along with your marketing, because more often than not, the types of ebooks you're writing are something that's going to help a company with their marketing. Whether it's it's intended, it's a book and it's an informational book, but at the end of the day, at the end of the book, they hope that you'll use their service, or they hand it out as part of their service to give more value.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that's actually something that I've been trying to encourage not only writers but other people in internet marketing to do, is to, everybody's an expert on something, and if you can't write it yourself, have a ghostwriter write it, because you can get a book out there on Amazon as an ebook that people can download for 99 cents, or for a certain amount of days for free, and that's getting the word out about yourself. So it's
exactly.
another marketing tool. Let's see, there was something else in the middle there that you had talked about. I'm blanking. You said you do websites and ghostwriting, and what else?
What else do I do? Blogging?
Blogging, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty crazy about blogging. I love it. I've been doing it about 5 years for my own websites, and about 3 years for other people. And I run four of my own blogs, and maybe starting a fifth soon. And I sort of either have either regular blogging positions, or I kind of ghost blog of about 15 other blogs, 10 other blogs, something like that. It's quite a few. And it's just, I just find it one of the best ways to build an audience, and to give you opportunities that you never thought you'd have otherwise. Like the stuff that comes through my inbox from my other blogs is just, it's just crazy. And a lot of the clients I've had, since starting their blogs, they've had, just amazing opportunities come to them just because, people have found them through their blogs.
And a blog that's updated regularly is a blog that gets traffic.
Exactly. And sometimes that's all you have to do. I've done my main website, not my writing website, but my other website, which is an alternative music and culture blog. That's at steffmetal.com.
Say that again.
That's at steffmetal.com.
Okay.
And that gets about 1,000 visitors a day.
Nice.
And a large amount of that has not come from guest blogging even, or any kind of search engine marketing beyond sort of basic, use lots of keywords kind of thing. It's all just come from, organic traffic, people checking back, keeping it updated 5 times a week, that kind of thing. And that's all you need sometimes.
And that's an awesome service because, again, a lot of writers just want to focus on their current writing project. They don't necessarily want to write on a blog. And, other people too, like you said, musicians or artists, or, they want to be on the creative side. They don't want to be on the marketing side. They don't want to be blogging every day. And your service helps to keep them relevant and keep them in the eye of the engines.
Exactly. And sometimes I write, sometimes an author, they love writing on their own blog. And then we get onto some guest blog, you get onto some other big blogs with guest posts, but they don't think they can write something that would get on. And right. I've got the contacts on enough blogs, and I've got the I understand, quite in depth how to produce a post that this particular blog would probably put up and stuff. So that's another thing I do quite often, is ghost write guest posts for especially authors, funnily enough.
But you hit the nail on the head when you said because each of those sites has a particular way they want their blog posts structured, and there's a certain way that they want to hear things written, and those, so you can write on behalf of your author or your artist or whoever, and you can write it better than they would have been able to. Exactly.
And because guest posting is really one of the best ways to gain more traffic to your blog, it's quite important to sort of get out there a bit. And a lot of authors, they try a couple of times on the bigger sites, and they get rejected, and it's a bit, you've already been rejected 100 times for your book. It's a bit depressing. Being rejected for it. So they might want to get something that's much more likely to have success.
They're at the end of the rejection line. They can't tolerate one more.
Exactly. Who can blame?
That's really cool. Well, Steff, it's been wonderful talking to you. If you were to give an author a piece of advice about getting started, what would that be?
Getting started as an author, or getting started in marketing their books?
Either one.
Well, I guess, for an author, the first and only thing that you should do is write what you love. Write the book that's calling to you, not ever the book that you think's going to sell a whole, make you a millionaire, or you got to write what you really, really love, because that's the only thing. It might not make you a bunch of money, but that's the only thing that will ever make you successful, is writing something that comes from the heart, that's written with integrity, that's written because, you know, you want to write it, because it's begging to be written. You know, because writing is such a, you know, it's such a game. You never know what's going to happen, so you might as well write the stuff that you're really passionate about, because otherwise, what's the point?
You'll get bored, and your readers will know it, and the book won't succeed. So you might as well, instead of writing what's hot right now, just because you think you should, write the story that wants to be told and tell it the way it wants to be told.
Exactly. And then when you finished it, think about all the people in the world that might benefit from it, and then try and aim your marketing towards them. Don't worry about the other people, because not everyone in the whole world is going to like your book. In fact, a lot of people are probably going to be very vocal about how much they don't like it. That's one thing the internet has allowed people to do. All the naysayers and pessimists get to express very loudly their views. Exactly, and it's really hard to ignore them sometimes, but that's just what you've got to do, because they're not your target. You know, they're not your target audience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just there's no point worrying about what they think, because they're never going to agree with you.
Right. So
you just got to think about the people who would love this book, and try and find them.
Well,
and that's pretty much the essence of marketing.
That's perfect. You just described it perfectly. So I want to thank you for your time, and I also want you to tell me again where people can find you on the internet.
Okay, well, you can find my copywriting and illustration website at Grim and Epic. That's GRYMMANDEPIC.com. Okay. And I'm also on Twitter at Steff Metal. That's probably the two best places to find me.
Okay, cool. And for those of you who are listening that are listening on iTunes, you can go over to bookgoodies.com and you can do a search for Steff, and you will be able to find her podcast and her links over there. And you can leave us notes on what you enjoyed about the podcast, or what it made you think about, or if there's something you'd like to hear Steff talk on in the future, if you have a question for her that you'd like her to answer. And if you go to the top of the page at bookgoodies.com, there's a contact form where you can also fill out a form and say, hey, I've got a topic I would like you to cover. Or you can say, I'm an author or a service, and I would like to be on your podcast to talk about my, your own stuff. And we want to thank geekcast.fm. That is geek, like in computer geek, and cast, like in podcast. Geekcast.fm for hosting all of our podcasts. And again, Steff, it's been great talking to you. I don't know what time it is over where you are, but
it's just past lunchtime.
Oh, okay, so it's during your day, so that's not too bad. But we do appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. And for all of our listeners, I want to say thank you for listening, and I want to say get out there and get writing, and have a great day.